Welcome to the Craig and Greg Show, presented by Maximize Leadership. Now, here are Craig Owens and Greg Harris.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Craig and Greg Show. I'm Craig. This is Greg. We love being here to share some leadership ideas with you, some thoughts, most of them probably hard-won lessons from our lives of making some bad mistakes along the way, and hopefully you benefit from that. But one of the things that we want to talk to you about is setting some goals, making some changes. This is the time of year I think people tend to do that. And it's kind of been my experience that I think the reason why a lot of people don't keep some of their momentum with their changes is I think that they just bite off way more. They take on too much. But I think we do need to make some changes. But let's help our friends out with how do we make some changes without trying to change everything. Right. How do we make some strategic changes to move forward?
I had that problem on Thanksgiving where my plate didn't have enough room.
Yeah.
And so my stomach said, oh, that looks, or my eyes said, that looks so good. The stomach goes, nah, that's too much. So we do this with our own to-do lists, tasks, responsibilities. I should probably be the person to clean the windows. Anybody can clean the windows, but not like me. I think that's a trap for leaders.
Yeah, I think so too. And what happens is you become, I think, paralyzed by looking at all of those. I was thinking about, lion tamers. It's kind of amazing to me. You see somebody go in with a chair or a stool and a whip, and that's going to, how do you train a lion or a tiger like that? But what I found out was that by putting those, either the 4 points of a chair or the 3 points of a stool forward, the lion or the tiger actually, in trying to focus on all of those points, gets paralyzed. They don't, which one do I go after? And as a result, they can't go after any of them. And that's how the lion tamers control them. I think that works against us when we go, I got this at home, I got this at work, and I need to, and then and we just don't know which one to focus on. So let's start with, in your experience, what's a good number? Can it be quantified? Can you say, well, I should only do one thing at a time? Should I do three things? What is it, like, kind of the sweet spot, or is that unique for everybody?
Maybe unique for everybody, and maybe unique on what you're focusing on. If it's a long project, you might be in a chapter or a phase. You got to let it go, send it back to committee or a teammate. If you're doing things like, okay, this is what I need to do for my team, myself, I can't really delegate it. I think a leader can do multiple things. The problem, I think, is, for some of us, is just unfinished. You got so many going on, you're like, well, I got to do that, and that. I'll start with this. Oh, I got to go back to that. And they end up kind of like, oh, I ran out of time.
Yes.
I think that's the other part, is maybe being honest with ourselves. Like,
realistic.
You're realistic. Like, I have so much time. I have so much energy.
Yes.
I think the focus piece, I love that with the analogy of the tamer. They're not trying to hurt or injure the lion. They're trying to prevent injury to them.
Yes.
And I think sometimes I wonder for us leaders, like, I'm probably going to injure myself because I have too many things to focus on. I wonder if that's an easy way to transition, to say, I got too much on my plate.
Yes.
And I think that's important to think about this year.
Well, and I think leaders, by the very definition of leader, there are so many things that are coming to them to say, I have to sign off on this. I have to give approval to this. I have to give direction here. You already have that going. And when there's some change initiatives, for me, I found that I really only want to try to focus on about two of them at the same time. That's the sweet spot for me. Yours might be different. Maybe you have more capacity than I do. But just figuring out what two are going to be the most strategic, the most effective to move the organization forward, or even move my own personal life forward. I might say, I need to make some personal changes. Which one change for my personal life is going to give me the greatest return?
So you'd have, a personal change, organizational change. Sometimes the personal change happens too fast. Like, how did I get this heavy? And the organizational change is like, I'd like it to change faster, and it doesn't. Well, you got more people, more moving parts. I think patience is one of those where, let's be realistic. How much can you do? And we can beat ourselves up. Both of us are and a compliment in some ways. High achievers. We like to get stuff done. We can get stuff done. We can even get stuff done when we're not in the mood for it or we weren't planning on it.
Right.
It wasn't on our list. But and that's not always true for other people. And we have to be careful as leaders, who we're leading with. What are they like?
Yes.
What's their capacity?
Yeah. Yep.
You've had that.
Oh, well, yeah, because you can actually wear out your other teammates because they're like, I can't keep up with that pace that you're setting there. And so part of it has to be, I could so overwhelm my teammate or set a bar so high for them that they just go, up, here's the white flag. I give up. I cannot keep up with that thing. Or they feel guilty or what. So that's where I think that even if you or I as high achievers might have the capacity to do more for the sake of our team, we might need to back off.
Not easy.
No.
That's not easy for me. It's like I can see us being way farther down the road, and you're like, oh, come on, catch up with me, Or maybe that's just the obvious, hey, Greg, you're taking a walk by yourself, but that's another whole thing.
Well, but I do like, I don't know who said it, but it's, if you want to go fast, you go alone. Yeah. But if you want to go far, you go with the team. And so
Henry Ford?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know, but that's true. I mean, because think about how many times you'll hear people say, okay, I'm looking at my list here. It's going to be a lot easier. I'm just going to do it myself because I can get it done a lot faster than come over here for a second. Let me show you how to do this. I want to teach you this part. Well, that slows me down. So sometimes I just go, I just got to get this done. Yeah. I'm just going to get it done.
So, say that again. I'm going to do this better, or how'd you say that?
Faster by myself.
Yeah. I think the other part that maybe we can lob back and forth this on our podcast today is the trust that they'll get it done. Yeah. Maybe it's not like, hey, they didn't make the bed the way I made the bed. They didn't drive their car and park it the way I would park it. They didn't actually set the table. I'm just giving you, rudimentary examples. But I think trust is like, well, I don't know if they'll get it done or they'll get it done the right way. Right. And I think that battles a lot of leaders because if we do that, we'll keep way more.
Yes.
Unfortunately, on our plates.
Right. Yeah. And I think that I think some people will stretch to a challenge if we give it to them.
Yes. Isn't that our development goal as a leader?
That should be.
Bring them along.
Yes.
Well, I think I will attest to this. So this is just transparent here. When I'm tired, I don't delegate very well. Yep. I'm like, I don't have it. I'm just going to do it myself. Yep. And then what does it do to me? It makes me further tired. Right. You're like, I was not even in my lane. Why did I do that? Or didn't go well. Like, all right, SOS. Can you clean this up? I did. Aisle seven. I spilled. Yep. But I think for most leaders, trust and maybe even belief in the other people you're on a team with. Right. Do they have that talent? Like if I said, hey, Craig, I can't do this. Can you? I actually would probably say he's probably going to do it better than I do. Or for sure your way. Yeah. And that's important too. It's not my way or not.
Well, but you might find somebody whose way is better than my way, so that's why I want to give it to them because they can get it done. Maybe they can get it done faster. And for me, the one delegating it, I get it done really fast because I hand it off to somebody that I trust.
Capable.
Right? Yeah. So do it. Go for it.
Tell me if you need anything. I'm going to assume it's done.
Absolutely. But, I think that what happens is we do need to change some things. Yeah. Something in our personal lives and our corporate organizational lives, something needs to be changed. Yeah. And what usually happens is that we go, okay, here's my list that I've been keeping like all year long of the things that I want to change. And then we come into our own life or to our team. Okay, let's have a staff meeting. Here's the list of the things we're going to change. And they all just go.
It looks like a scroll.
Right. And then, but their response is usually, we can't do all of those, so I'm not going to do any of them.
Fire hose.
Yeah.
I've had a leader in my life. I was probably a leader to other people in that way. Like, so this is all we're going to do this week. How?
Yeah.
I mean, what? In 5 days or, whatever it is. Yep. I think the other piece that us leaders probably need to be aware of is what it does to people, when change occurs or they see, hey, it's sand going between my fingers. I'm not controlling it or holding it. I wonder if maybe the angst, anxiety that we just need to check in more, because I do know I'm okay with the change, but others aren't, and I can't assume they are. I'm sure you got a story.
Right. Well, I think that this is where we've talked before about building celebrations into our leadership. And I think that it's important to say, look, here was the list of things that we wanted to do. And when you get down the road a certain spot, just go, hey, time out. Look we haven't gotten everything done on our list, but look what we have accomplished.
That's a good start.
Let's celebrate that. Or, I know that I've had times where people have walked into my office and they'll look around at all my books. How do you read all these books? One page at a time. But if you think about, like, if I just say, I'm only going to read 10 minutes a day, times 365 days, I'm going to get through a lot of books in the course of a year.
Right.
But most people are just looking at, like you said, well, here's what we're going to get done this week. Oh, it seems so overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's only Monday.
But if you celebrate at the end, hey, look what we got done, then they go, oh, it is doable. Okay. All right.
And some like competitions. Hey,
Sure.
Last quarter, last month, last week, we did X amount.
Can we beat that?
Can we beat that? And people rally.
Yeah.
I mean, they find capacity. They find productivity. As just I love this. It's so fun to scratch it off the list. I think getting back to your first question when we teed it up, it might depend on the people. And it might depend maybe on the project.
Sure.
If it's hey, we heard this, let's fix it. Let's not have it again next week. Someone complained on, the call in because they were on the phone too long. Okay, let's change it.
Right.
That's it. I mean, It's not like you have to last real long in the discussion, debate.
Right.
I think the back to the anxiety piece, because we've ruminated on it a little bit as leaders, we might have contemplated it, prayed about it, maybe got some advice from others, and then we fire hose them. I've done that too many times. I realize that they can't drink that fast, and that's on me.
And I think that we have to remember kind of the typical like bell curve. There's going to be some people that are going to jump on with the changes right away. Most people are going to take some time. They have to process it a little bit because like you just said, we've thought about it. And now we're presenting it to them, and it's the first time they're hearing it, and so you can see the wheels turning. Well, once you start seeing that, then that means they're not listening to the next things that you're saying because they're thinking about it. I just see their eyes going up like this. They're thinking about it. I need to stop giving them information at this point. Mm-hmm. Let them, and then on the other side of the bell curve, you're going to have some people that are like, "We shall not be moved." Yeah. I like the way that we've done it. We've done it like this. Let's
Explain
just stick
to me
with
why
this.
We should change it.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are the people, and you just have to be aware of that up front. But I think that the big thing is, okay, let me think about it for a while. What is the strategic thing, the next strategic thing that we can focus on? Give it to people. Let them have time to process it. Right. What I found was really successful for me in a larger organization is that I was able to identify some people that, like, these are some of my early adopters, and they're people that are very good at conveying the message to others. So I'm going to get them around me first and say, guys, this is what I'm thinking about. They start getting excited. Well, we're going to roll this out soon, but not right now. I want us to think about it a little bit more. Well, that they can't keep the excitement to themselves. It already is spreading, and by the time that you get ready to launch it to the whole group, they've already gotten little nibbles of it from those people.
We used to call them change agents.
Yes. Yep.
So you kind of identify early adopters is a legitimate word on that bell curve and change. But I think just change agents, people that are willing to, it's not just one person in the organization that's okay with this or on board with it or will help with it. But I love the change agents part. And sometimes we're surprised as leaders, like, well, I didn't know Mary wanted to.
Right.
I didn't think Steve really, wow, he impressed me. So you give him a chance.
Yes.
But I think change agents and early adopters, they do help us leaders. This is a podcast, a long time ago, but being tired because you're involved with every change,
Right.
every communication,
Right.
Every process. So I think the gentleman, I won't say his real name, but so Bill says to me, "I'm really tired," and I says, "Yeah, you look tired. What's going on?" "Well, I can't delegate." "Well, is that their fault or yours?"
Yeah.
Is it really on us? Like, hey, Greg, if you can't do it, it's you. And they're capable people, otherwise you wouldn't have hired them.
Right.
They're on your team.
Right.
So he ended up having to admit, he didn't believe that they could do it. And so he was engaged with almost every minutia thing. And his organization had over 1,000 employees. Like, okay, you got the wrong people.
Right.
Then.
You can't. Right.
Or you need to let it go.
Yes.
And I think it was both for him.
Yeah.
He had to change some people, but he also had to say, I can't keep this up.
Right.
We've seen what's the one's quote, the world is run by tired people, or something along those lines. It's like, yeah, I see them. They drive to work, or they're stumbling in the line.
And those tired people make it dangerous for
Right.
everybody around them.
Well, they're quick wit. They just got just a short temper or a fuse.
Yep.
And they make bad decisions when you're tired.
Absolutely.
I've done that.
Oh, because you're trying to just get relief from the moment. You're thinking very short term. You're not thinking what are the consequences of this going to be?
I'll quiz you on this one because I don't know the answer. Hopefully you do. And if not, we'll just edit it out. What's the movie or what's the start of this comedian or this comic story of Squirrel? Where was that from? Was that Ice Ages?
Let's look over to our producer.
Remember the whole joke on Squirrel, Harrison? Like Squirrel, and then someone can't pay attention. Almost the ADD kind of that doesn't sound familiar.
There's a squirrel with a nut in Ice Age.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking
but
the distraction is like the squirrel. You're like, hey, Craig, you want me to help you, set up the spike ball, blah, blah, blah. And, oh, look at those maple trees. Craig, just work with me on this. Set up the spike ball for me. Yeah. Squirrel, Mountain Dew, whatever it is. And I wonder if that's something that we have to fight in our corporation. You got it, Harrison?
Doug from Up. I think that's what you're looking.
Yes, the dog. Oh my gosh, I love that movie, by the way. But I think the whole squirrel maybe is part of our phones. As leaders, like there's so much coming at us, bandwidth. You're watching a movie, your phone dings, and you're just there's so much bandwidth going on, and that's something to be careful of, particularly in our meetings. You can be in a meeting and all of a sudden Greg's not paying attention. He's got bandwidth issues,
Right. Well, and I think that speaks again to we have to be strategic about how much information we're giving out to people, because I think that is part of if I'm sharing something that is going to be captivating, they're not going to pull out their phones and be checking everything because they're going to be, if I start seeing them go like this with their phones, okay, they've tuned out, so why am I going to try to talk over them? It's kind of like I'll tell sometimes when I'm in a room full of kids, sometimes I'll just say, I'm not going to talk while you're interrupting. So as soon as you're quiet and are going to listen, then I'll continue talking. So I think we have to do the same thing as leaders in our organizations, or even as leading ourselves. If I'm trying to concentrate, okay, I need to make some changes. Oh, my email just dinged. Let me check that. Okay. Okay. Oh, I just got a text message. Well, okay, then why am I working on this? Because I'm just so distracted I can't even concentrate on this. Yeah. We're going to I'm not ready for it. So it needs to be a time where I go, okay, close the lid. I don't need to be looking at my phone. Let me work on this. I like you found I don't know where you found this acrostic for the word focus.
Yeah.
Share that.
Well, I think it's one of the most important things all of us can work on, whether it's kids or teammates of ours or, us adult leaders, whatever it is. The focus really does eliminate Doug's from Up's movie Squirrel because you're focused. You're like, I can't be interrupted. If we're not really into it, we seem to get easily interrupted. So the FOCUS acronym was follow one course until success, like completion.
Yep.
And I do think there is something to be said for our humanity on first procrastination, second finishing it. And I think finishing is our challenge here. I think maybe just go off on a tangent here, off our notes, but when we tell someone that, we're going to have some change in our organization, their first response is they're taking stuff away. It won't be good. Because earlier changes, wherever they were, could have been with us or some prior to joining our organization, it didn't go well.
Right.
And I think as leaders, we really have to make sure change goes well. Doesn't mean soften it, just be honest about it. Like, I had a conversation for the merger acquisition world I work in and play with, and just these business owners are like, if someone buys us, will it be the same? No, it will not be the same. And they're taken back by it, like, well, why would you say it like that? I'm not going to fib to you. It's not going to be the same.
Right.
It's going to be different. Is it going to be worse? No, but it's going to be different.
But different. Right.
And so they want reassurance. It's not going to be worse, really, because change was different. I get it. We're going to change our logo from blue to green. Okay, whoop-de-doo. But we're now going to change our service platform. Oh. And that affects people's jobs or a customer's experience. But
Sure.
I just think that's something to wrestle with. Is if we've had negative change, like it didn't, like we baloneyed them.
Right.
They can sniff it out.
Yep.
So what were your thoughts on that for coaching us leaders?
Well, that's the word that I was going to say was coach. Coach.
Oh yeah, coach.
This is, I think, again, the incredible value of having a outsider.
Yeah.
That's what you do in the merger and acquisition world. That's what we do in our coaching. To have somebody say, I'm doing some coaching with a couple of pastors right now. Very successful people. They're very successful people.
Interesting.
Coaching is not because you're like, oh, I'm just a failure. No, that's not what it is. Coaching is to help you see things from a different perspective, and that's what we would do in our coaching is just to say, hey, listen, have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Did you check on this? I sat in on the meeting and I noticed this. Did you see that part too? Most of the time they're going to say no. You're going to say no because you just don't see it. You just don't know. We have these blind spots because we get into our programs, we get into our normal routine, and we assume that everybody else is on the same page with us. So that's where we can help you. So go to maximizeleadership.com. There's a page on there about our coaching. And if you just want to scroll down there, there's a form you can fill out. Just say something like, I feel plateaued here. Or you might say, I'm already successful. I want to be more successful. Here's where I am now. What do you guys think that you can do? We'll read it. We'll give you an honest assessment on what we can do for you, how we could help you with the coaching. If it's not us, we might have somebody that we could recommend that would be just a perfect fit for you. But check that out. And then we'd love to be able to continue to give you information and teachings that are relevant to where you are. So get back in touch with us by either you could leave a comment below on this video. On Twitter, you could go to Maximize Podcast. You could send us a suggestion or a question there. And then we'll kind of think about it and say, how can we address this? And we'll come back maybe in a one of your Max Minutes, your short videos, or maybe back in a Craig and Greg Show episode. But we want to just stay responsive to the needs that you have. We're here to be a resource for you. We love when other leaders get better in their leadership, and that's what we want to help you do. So focus on the things that are important, not too many at the same time. Focus on those one or two, and you're going to leverage those to some great success in this upcoming year. Stay in touch with us. Stay tuned because we got lots of great content that we're going to bring you through the rest of this year.
Get in touch with Craig and Greg through Twitter at Maximize Podcast or at MaximizeLeadership.com. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of The Craig and Greg Show.